It is generally well known that a happy employee is a productive and motivated employee. Happy employees are willing to go the extra mile if their efforts are recognized and appreciated. Now, of course, the reverse to this is also true. And not only would it affect productivity, in the long run, it may lead to the loss of employees and ultimately less profit for the business. The role of HR is to recognize this and ensure that employees are provided with the opportunity to develop themselves, are motivated and happy within the organization. Human resources is a department of the organization which takes care of the most vital assets in that organization. Of course, it's people. In today's lesson, we start off by defining the role and scope of HR in an organization. We then differentiate between HR and HRM before we finish off by explaining the key responsibilities of the HR personnel. HR is responsible for handling any employee-related concerns and needs as they arise within the organization. The role of HR is to ensure that all employees have what they need to perform their day-to-day job while creating a healthy, safe working environment in which employees are motivated and happy. To achieve the objectives of the organization, the role, function, and utilization of HR is critical. Some of the most common HR titles include the HR Administrative Assistant, the HR Administrator, the HR Specialist, the HR Generalist, the HR Manager, and the HR Executive. It might seem that these are pretty similar, so let's take a look into the difference in each role for each of these. The main difference between these roles is primarily one of scope and responsibility of each role. The HR Administrative Assistant is more of a support role for the HR personnel. HR Administrative Assistants would normally assist with tasks like filing, data entry, updating records, sorting through resumes, scheduling interviews, and preparing documentation. An HR Administrator is normally the first point of call in the HR department. The HR Administrator will handle the day-to-day documentation and process in the HR department. In smaller organizations, the HR Administrator can perform all the tasks that HR is responsible for, but in the larger organizations, there's normally a team of HR specialists that are responsible for the different HR roles, and the HR Administrator would be of assistance to them. The HR specialist is an HR personnel who specializes in one specific area of human resources and would be responsible for managing programs within their area of expertise. The HR generalist has knowledge of the various functions that HR performs. Their specific role would depend on the size and structure of the organization. They work with employees to manage all people-related issues. The HR manager would oversee the development and implementation of policies, benefits, and performance evaluations. This is a more senior level position and would require a thorough understanding and knowledge of HR practices and a broad range of skills. Lastly, an HR executive is a senior level broad role, where an individual would oversee the entire HR team and all of its processes. The HR executive would be in contact with the employees as well as the leaders and senior management regularly. From these roles that we've just discussed, which would you think is a highly demanded HR role? If you guessed an HR generalist, you would be correct. They have knowledge in the broader field of HR and in specialized categories of HR too. Add this with employee relations and you have the recipe for success, as these fields are interdependent and vital to improve employee happiness, motivation, and productivity within an organization. So let's get something clear before we move on. There is a difference between HR and HRM. Do you possibly know what it is? HR or human resources can be one person or it can be a team of people that manage the resources related to the people within an organization. HRM or human resources management, on the other hand, is the entire process that HR individuals carry out. This can be anything from recruiting, performance management, company benefits, to creating policies that an organization needs to put into place. Here are some of the responsibilities of the HR team. Let's take a look at each of these and how HR functions. The relationship that exists between individuals in leadership and between employees is known as employee relations. The role of HR is to maintain strong employer-employee relationships by creating an amalgamated work environment. One of the primary roles of an HR division is to attract qualified employees into available roles within an organization, and once the ideal candidate is selected, to recruit them. HR also needs to ensure employee retainment by providing a great working environment where individuals are happy and motivated. Once the task of attracting and recruiting new staff has been completed, HR is then responsible for onboarding the new staff members and continually encouraging and providing opportunities for learning and development. Onboarding assists new employees to transition into their roles and understand what's required from them to perform their duties. Learning and development should be encouraged and is a great opportunity for anyone in the organization to develop their existing skill or develop a new set of skills that can increase their job performance. By providing the opportunity to learn and develop, the organization can increase employee motivation, happiness, and loyalty to the organization. All employees in an organization are provided with a compensation package for the work that they perform. Once the new employee is recruited, HR would offer a remuneration package to this employee, and once agreed upon, HR will manage and approve the offer. Compensation packages can often be accompanied by company benefits, which will vary greatly between each organization, depending on what the organization is able to offer, its location, and the laws and rules governing them. Some of these can range anywhere from medical insurance to pension and retirement fund contributions, paid leave and wellness programs, to greater benefits like shares, stock ownership, and ownership opportunities within the company. It's the responsibility of the HR personnel to set performance expectations for individuals in the organization and to develop a performance review process. The purpose of a performance review is to discuss the employee's performance to date and set goals for future performance. Between reviews, HR should also check in with employees to ensure that they are on track to achieving their goals, and if they require assistance or support, HR should be able to provide them with this. The role of HR includes the ability to manage disputes or disagreements between employees or between employees and leaders. This can be done by implementing policies and procedures, encouraging open communication, and mediating any conflict that might arise. Once a resolution is sought, HR can then monitor the situation. HR also handles employee discipline and will document any occurrence or actions that are taken. There is normally a process that will need to be implemented and followed when an instance does occur, which normally includes a verbal, written, or final warning, which could result in a suspension or termination of an employee's contract. In severe instances, immediate dismissal could occur. There are laws that a company needs to abide by when it comes to creating a safe working environment. All over the world, these laws differ slightly. In the USA, you have the Occupational Health and Safety Administration, commonly referred to as OSHA. In Europe, you have the Framework Directive on Occupational Health and Safety, and in the UK, you have the Health and Safety Executive. Lastly, in South Africa, you have the Occupational Health and Safety Act. These are all very similar, and ultimately they ensure that the employer provides and maintains a workplace that is safe with minimal risk. HR needs to regularly check for any updates to these laws and ensure that the workplace complies with these updates. If an employee finds a workplace unsafe, they are able to report the organization and an investigation will be conducted. The HR personnel will be responsible for dealing with this. Labor laws are the laws that exist that govern the relationship between the employer and the employee. Again, each country has its own law when it comes to labor laws and relations. The role of HR is to ensure that the organization is complying with a set of rules within their own country. These rules range anything from working hours to paid time off, maternity and paternity benefits, employee termination, salary deductions, and even tax deductions. As we come to the end of our very first lesson, let's do a quick recap on the general responsibilities of the HR individual or team. The Human Resources Department is responsible for inception, by bringing a new individual on board, development, by providing training and learning opportunities for employees, attaining or motivating staff, by stimulating the employees by caring for their needs, and maintenance, providing suitable working conditions for employees to be happy, productive, and motivated. For HR to be effective, employees must have complete trust in the HR individual or HR department. It is extremely important that HR treat all information as confidential and always maintain a professional standard. This will encourage employees to feel free to approach the HR staff should they feel the need, ultimately building a strong relationship between the leader, HR, and employees within an organization. Thanks for joining, and we will see you soon for the next lesson.